I'll call this meeting of committee chairs to order at 6 p.m. This meeting is being recorded by committee chairs. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify me at this time. It's like no one is. We have one counselor attending remotely, Vice President Gilmore.
Yes, I'm here.
And we'll do a roll call.
Counselor Bottomley,
Here.
Counselor Gilmore,
Here.
Counselor Bullock,
Here.
Counselor Golub,
Here.
Counselor Toronto.
Yep.
Mr. President, yeah, have a quorum.
Excellent. We'll start under President's notes with all the exciting stuff first. Letters of interest, resumes submitted to fill the at-large counselor vacancy position formerly held by Penny Ricketts for the remainder of her term. And it looks like everybody's here who's applied. So I think what I'd like to do is the process we've done twice before is we'll invite you up to make a statement if you have any questions for us. And I'll probably do this in the order that is listed in our agenda. Basic process will be we'll hear you tonight, and the committee chairs will have 1 week to submit their vote to me or who they would like appointed, and then I will make appointments on the 9th in time for the name to get on the agenda for city council and hopefully sworn in on the next city council. So let's start with Empress Bennett. Welcome.
Do you want time limit on how long they get to? Sorry. I think that would probably be a good idea, so it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay.
5 minutes, roughly 5 minutes, yeah.
I'll set a timer.
Welcome.
Why, thank you. Hi, everybody. How are you? Did the timer start? Because I'm a talk.
Good. Yep.
Okay, so I definitely need a timer. Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Empress. I am a resident of Greenfield, Massachusetts, and my kids are students at Greenfield High School and also Franklin County School on Federal Street. Outside of that, as far as in my other life, I am CRA analyst and community outreach officer for Greenfield Savings Bank, whereas I actually study the data for Franklin and New Hampshire and New Hampshire counties. I'm also chair of the Human Rights Commission and president of the Franklin County Rotary Club. I'm on the Mass Hire Workforce Board and the DEI board at GSB. I have done a lot as far as community work, as far as facilitating Juneteenth. This is the 3rd year I did Juneteenth, as well as the first ever Reggae Fest here in Greenfield. I'm also part of the Moose Lodge here in Greenfield and was also nominated as Greenfield's Citizen of the Year through the Elks Lodge. As far as my experience, I have budgeting and finance experience because I do coordinate and facilitate financial literacy with Franklin and Hampshire County. I work within the schools. I also did a lot of work with GCC, the Recreation Department, going as far as the RLC in Northampton and Johnson Recreation Department. I do feel a need that there needs to be more support as far as citywide financial literacy within our schools, because a lot of young people graduate school and they don't know how to balance a checkbook. And I believe that's one of the fundamental things that we should do to support our young people, and not just our young people, but even older adults do need financial literacy. So that's definitely a key focus of mine. Let's see. I do support small business in Greenfield. I was the marketing manager for Goods Pop-Up Shop that was on Main Street, where we was able to the Greenfield Economic Development along with GCC was able to get a grant to have the pop-up shop. I believe that that's one of the things that we could do within our downtown business district, as far as looking into grants on how we could utilize those funds to go into our downtown business district, as far as the empty storefronts. And not only that, by bringing more young people and business owners to the table on how we could develop our downtown area. As far as the owners of those businesses who's sitting there, I believe that there needs to be some kind of conversation that we bring them to the table and be like, this is our proposal. What are you going to do to help us do this? Because there is a lot of unique ideas in Greenfield, but people do not have the money as far as overhead costs to get a building, pay for insurance and things like that. And I really do believe that we really need to support small business and entrepreneurs in that aspect. I love to promote positivity. I advocate for unhoused population here in Greenfield. On another note, my son has been struggling with mental illness and homelessness on the streets of Greenfield since February of this year. And I have been struggling with agencies to get him care within the mental health and in his homeless situation. And it's just so sad that I had to go through the means of pressing criminal charges for my son that never had a criminal record in order to get him services. That's not okay, in my opinion. So I would definitely be happy to open up more dialogue over that and how we can support individuals with that's dealing with mental health and homelessness without having to turn to the criminal justice system to get them support and advocacy. I'm also an advocate for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. I work the crisis line at NELQUIT as a matter of fact. I believe that there is more that we can do to advocate for individuals for domestic violence as well. And also advocacy and support for Black-owned business, minority business, and women-owned business within Franklin County, especially Greenfield. Because like I said, I do work with census tracts, so I do see the numbers, and the numbers are very low. You could literally count on one hand how many minority-owned businesses we have in Greenfield, and I really believe that we can do a lot more, especially because, like I said, we are a growing demographic, and we have so many young people that's graduating from high school. And see what I'm saying? See what I mean? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Brown. Welcome.
Hi, Sarah Brown, 112 Stone Farm Lane. Good evening, Counselor Toronzo, Counselor Golub. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Okay, I'm Kathy Scott, the clerk.
Kathy Scott and
Quinn Jacobs, I'm the assistant clerk.
Jacobs, President Bottomley, Councilor Bullock, and Vice President Gilmore. Thanks for having me here. I'm honored to be in consideration for the role of City Councilor at Large and among this impressive group of applicants. I wanted to share more about my background and motivation and what I can bring to Greenfield City Council. By now, you've probably heard that I helped found Valley Housing Co-op, and I currently live on 32 acres of land secured by Valley Community Land Trust to be permanently affordable. This project speaks to my ability to mobilize resources and work with others effectively. We raised $400,000 from over 70 community donors and lenders in 2 months under a tight deadline. We got Valley Community Land Trust to be included in the housing bond bill for a $1.47 million bonding authorization. Starting as a small group of renters seeking housing stability 4 years ago, we were able to meet our needs collectively through a model for housing as a right, not a commodity. This project is deeper than the single issue of affordable housing, which is incredibly important. It also demonstrates fundraising and community organizing, learning how to meet well and make decisions together. I believe in democratic stewardship of resources to ensure community well-being, equity, and sustainability. I believe my systems thinking approach will benefit Greenfield, not just in putting out fires, but moving towards a more resilient system that benefits all of our community members. I have a broad range of interests that intersects with the work of City Council. I value the collaboration between different departments and City Council. I appreciate green space and public street treats. I value our small businesses and creating a local economy and jobs with a living wage. With climate change, investing in our roads, water mains, bridges, food systems, and all our infrastructure to ensure we have a solid foundation into the future is more important than ever. Regardless of your decision, I look forward to continuing to engage with City Council and plan to run in 2025 for City Councilor at Large. Thank you to each one of you for how much you give to Greenfield, and I really commend your commitment to the common good. I believe this would be a tremendous opportunity to create a better future for all residents of our wonderful city. And thank you.
Thank you. Tom Bledsoe. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak to you about this opportunity to be on the city council. I'm Tom Bledsoe. My wife and I, Lexi Turner, just moved here to Greenfield this year, and which is sort of surprising. I'd be sitting here suggesting I should be considered for the council. So you can dismiss my interest kind of quickly for that reason, and I would too, probably if I was you, because I'm not, I'm not local, and I come with expertise, but not relationships here. We didn't move here expecting, I didn't solely expect that I'd probably put my name forward for this. And kind of the reason I did is that I have it's really kind of affordable housing and sort of community economic development. I have a long history of that. I retired a couple of years ago. I've been in the affordable housing business for 35 years as the CEO of a couple of companies. Most recently, the 25 years, ran a nationwide network of nonprofits that were large affordable housing developers. Two of them working here, Community Builders, and the other one, Wayfinders. These are large nonprofits, and we built a network amongst ourselves to help our business grow and have policy impact. So I started that organization having run the Boston Housing Partnership, which was an early public-private partnership, rebuilding kind of neighborhoods and housing in Boston back in the 80s and 90s. And I did that for about 7 years. We had a lot of impact and self-organized a network of organizations like that to try to help, because the work is difficult. It's very hard. It's very capital intensive. It involves a lot of relationships with government. These organizations, our network, Community Builders, an example, just got really good at it. And, I loved the work, enjoyed it. I came out of state government before that. I was the deputy secretary of then called EOCD, which is the state's still housing department. I think the housing study grant came out of that agency. And then I ran the mayor's office of neighborhood services in Boston. So I had a lot of experience in government and in housing. So that was my background. I'm loving Greenfield. I came here for, we're outdoors people. I wanted to be in a smaller town, get to know neighbors, just a very different kind of experience. Reading a lot in the paper about what's going on, housing in particular, and realizing I could offer some stuff here because you guys are tackling some big stuff. It's exciting what you're trying to do. I've been surprised at how there's a lot of misunderstanding about it, and I've been surprised about that. And this is on the easy stuff like ADUs. So it's like you guys are trying to do some big stuff here. I'd love to be helpful in any way I can. And it seemed like, well, maybe a lot of this stuff comes back to the council. So maybe this is an opportunity for me to help in this way. I would like to get involved and help somehow here in Greenfield. I know I will in volunteer way. I have time. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this, but the opportunity is there. My neighbors, Will Roberts and Phil Elmer, both said, listen, you're new, but that's a benefit as well as a disadvantage. So go for it. So it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of learn more about the town. I've been kind of getting more engaged in some of these issues. And, I'm excited about what's going on here. If I can be helpful to it, I would like to be. But, I'm new. I'm not expecting. You have some really great candidates here, and I'm very impressed with it. And I think that's exciting for the town. So very positive. So anyway, I can be helpful in the future or in this opportunity, if depending on what you all decide you need. If it's just the expertise that I have, I've worked on a lot of boards. I've done a lot of kind of group process stuff. That's my skill, as well as finance and sort of affordable housing development. So if that's useful, I'm kind of offering my service, but I'd like to help in any way, kind of regardless of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Stephanie Gale.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Good evening, everyone, and Councilor President Connolly and councilors. Thank you for inviting me to tonight's committee chairs meeting and allowing me to make this statement, which I've written. So I'm nervous. I first would like to give my appreciation to former Councilor Ricketts for her many years of service to our community. That deserves to be recognized. Why do I want to join city council? That is a question I've been asked a lot the last few weeks. I want to join city council to make a difference in our community and to contribute to stability and growth in our city. I care about affordable and accessible housing, our schools, students and educators, preserving land, economic development, small businesses, and much more, all pieces that contribute to our vibrant community. Former US President Abraham Lincoln has said, quote, that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth, end quote. Meaning that as long as we have a government, it should be composed with those with whom we serve and be of service to its people. Everyday ordinary people, not only those who work in leadership roles already, but representative of our community as a whole. That government should be accessible for all, no matter your socioeconomic status, your ability to work or not to work, if you're housed or unhoused. Our government is supposed to work for us, not against us, to provide service to the community. Our city government should be made up of a diverse group of people, people that are committed to listening and serving, and who can understand issues affecting residents of Greenfield and whom can offer solutions without bias. They need to work collaboratively to create and review policies and adopt a sound and balanced budget that can serve the best interests of Greenfield citizens and taxpayers. I am able to give careful attention and time to being on the city council. I'm someone who not only listens, but also someone who will ask questions to understand, put themselves in someone else's shoes, someone who's empathetic and understanding. Shall I be chosen, I will promote transparency, clear communication, and informed decision-making. I'm ready to assist in supporting our city's leadership and will put forward my best self to serve residents of Greenfield as their next at-large councilor. In the past few weeks, I've already jumped in by attending meetings in person and online, talking to new people, and reconnecting with folks I know. I've taken time to read most of the city charter, research different issues such as the proposed open space cluster development ordinance changes, GSET North builds and spending, groundwater removal process, and even have been looking at the current fiscal year budget. I feel that because I'm a fast learner, have such interest in working on the issues facing our community, that I'll be able to effectively work with you all over the next year in this role. I lived in Greenfield for more than half my life, in Franklin County my entire life, besides 4 years when I was a non-traditional age student at Smith College, and 2 years in Pennsylvania when I was a young child. Greenfield is my home, and I'm a product of this community. Greenfield is the seat of our county, a strong and vibrant community that I am proud to call home. I've always wanted to become involved in local politics, but I envisioned that I would attend law school first, become a lawyer, then become involved in city or state legislature. But I understand there's no order in life, and I embrace its challenges. When I graduated from Smith College over 10 years ago, I was and still am a single parent. Not only did I have to find a job, but housing as well, since I lived on campus with my children. We unfortunately were homeless for about 2 months post-graduation, but I was able to move back to Greenfield in the same building I had rented an apartment prior to moving to Northampton. Looking back, attending and graduating Smith College was an exceptional life experience that I always have to hold on to. It was a very difficult time for me for many reasons, but I was able to persevere. I learned so much, not only academically, but as a person, how to pause, reflect, and take care of my physical and mental self. I am forever grateful for all my accomplishments thus far. I would like to address the fact that I've not worked in a full-time career, as you may see, since 2017. I had to make a difficult decision to leave my career to focus on my children's needs and educational advocacy. Now that my school-age child is attending a therapeutic day school, I now have the time needed to dedicate to this role. I'm very much looking forward to getting to know all of you. Some of you I know, and this opportunity to serve our community. Joining the city council is a significant commitment, and I do not take it lightly. I will show up, I will be persistent, and I will be accessible and advocate for others. I can't imagine this is an easy decision. I deeply appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And Charlotte Triber? I don't know if I got that right.
Yeah. Usually people say Treber, but yeah, that was correct. Hi, thanks. I'm Charlotte. I have lived in Greenfield for 3 years. So I started Madhouse Multi Arts on Main Street in 2021 and project managed, kind of the sort of development of that building into an artist studio space. So coordinating with outside vendors, and kind of budget management, accounting, et cetera, in terms of like the startup of the business. And obviously a lot of like outreach and leasing involved with that to fill, the studio space. And we had, some gallery shows and have done community events and started the Arts Walk actually. So that involved it's a bit of a risk, definitely. No like permission or sort of committee to start that. I just kind of went for it. I think, it was something that the town needed since, a lot of, other towns in Mass and, everywhere have arts walks. And it was really a way to sort of bind the community together towards a common goal. And I think it's really helped the, local businesses because people in Greenfield are kind of going around to these various places, obviously on the night of the walk. And I've had tangible feedback that, there's more, it's busier on those nights. So obviously that's helping those business owners. And we've had people from, far from Greenfield, like Boston, for example, come and like submit art. And, so it's really helped kind of the local economy in that sense, both within Greenfield and outside of Greenfield. I have experience in property management beyond that as well. I manage Cliffside Apartments and also the Boulders Apartments. So I've worked with, affordable housing and, I'm familiar with, Section 8 and all, for the ins and outs of sort of affordable housing programs. I'm also the co-chair of the Crossroads Cultural District Committee. So, working with, a committee to sort of delegate funding to local organizations and individuals. And yeah, so I'm ready to take the next step into local government. I'm obviously passionate about the local economy and arts and culture, but that, sort of extends to, housing, schools, infrastructure, everything else involved in what, makes a town a town. And in terms of vision, I guess, I really think that we need like more practical stores. So I guess like it would be, a bit of a mission to try to make that more accessible and provide opportunities for, businesses to come in and, so we have a place to buy like towels and like bed sheets. So we're in town. I think that's part of, the reason why a lot of people maybe don't live here because you have to drive like, kind of a little bit out of the way to, get those sort of normal everyday items. And yeah, so I'm loving the Everything Greenfield Facebook page also. Like, I feel like there's a lot of like really little kind of, well, I mean, no issues are like small, but like a lot of like, fixable sort of problems that people bring up. And I think, it'd be good to be, a part of that. And I think there's a lot of, older folks that live in Greenfield, as well as kids. So I think, traffic safety and safety for youth and veterans, and like elderly folk are super important for this town in particular. So in terms of making sidewalks, making sure they're in like best condition possible for like people in wheelchairs and, making sure that we have traffic safety by the schools. Yeah, and I guess just programming in general, obviously that's, my specialty, and I think I would do a really effective job as I already have, but with like a larger committee of people with, just improving community outreach. I think obviously like, the elephant in the room is we have a bit of like a homelessness drug problem in Greenfield. So making sure that we're providing, proper outreach and resources to those people and like making sure we have enough affordable housing here, basically. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Those are our candidates. Thank you. It's really impressive and it's going to be really difficult. It's my hope, as I said in the past, that that I can basically just go with the majority would be the hope of votes of committee chairs, but that probably gets so many good candidates. But I do hope you all, whatever happens, you all consider running. Because in just over a year, there'll be at least 7 seats open for the city council. And it's the diversity of background and the concern and the care that you show. It's really impressive. So I hope you'll consider running next year too. Thank you for all being here, and you're welcome to go, or you can watch our agenda meetings.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Next is discussion on appointment of a new parliamentarian. I have not gotten anywhere on this one. It still doesn't feel like a huge priority to me. So I'm happy with kicking that one off another month.
Do you want it on November or do you want it to go to December? So November committee chair date is the election date.
Oh, yeah,
December.
We mean, we have to have someone to appoint to even discuss, right?
right. Well, yeah, in theory, or it's not laid out very well
Okay.
about how it's even.
Find someone
So,
willing and breathing.
right. We had talked about potentially putting out some sort of advertisement or something.
Yeah. I think we are gonna need to. If we want some.
Right, I know, it's tricky. I'm not sure that you're a parliamentarian sitting at home reading with a paper. Gee, but it could.
I'm sure a lot of people know what parliamentarian means.
Right, no, most likely someone who served, I would think, for sure, but why don't we discuss that in December?
Look to the British, it's their word.
Right. The next one was discussion with school superintendent on transportation budget. I did not look further into this. I believe Councilor Master Totaro got his original questions answered, and there were more, and I think we'll leave that off an agenda for now until I can find out what more questions will be asked on that. And I can talk with Chair Johnson Assad and try to work out whether that is something that can just be a couple counselors meeting to get information, or if it needs to be something that comes to Ways and Means, if you're okay with that.
We're removing it? Or
Hunting?
Maybe it's a good question. Sure. Let's remove it, and we can bring it back if there's a request or a need. Discussion on issues involving GSAT and GSAT Board of Commissioners. This was something that I talked to John Want a little bit at the last council meeting. I think it's best to go to Ways and Means this month. Because my primary concern was that we have information from the mayor's office, from GSAT, from whoever wants to submit information, and that counselors will have information to review. And then we can decide who we want to invite to that meeting. So that we actually have information to review and ask questions on. And I think that's the best place, is a subcommittee where there can be a robust discussion. I don't know, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I would gladly invite John along to share the information. I'm honestly not really looking forward to hearing from the board. Particularly, I think John should be able to handle these questions himself, and I don't feel it needs to be a committee coming to. I just have some hesitations about how that meeting might end up otherwise. So I would gladly invite John to share the information. He has already shared a bunch of it with us. And that way it will be left open for if there are other questions from the subcommittee at that time.
I'm also assuming the finance director, maybe. And
Finance director, the mayor, they would be obviously integral in any discussions having to do with current and then future financial.
we'll ask them to attend to discuss those and forward information for the meeting if they have it.
I mean, we've gotten a good chunk
Right.
so far, and anything else that, would hopefully be pertinent to their discussion and their explanations of the questions that have been asked and
Current and future finance.
yeah, I think it'd be good just to get it out of the way and
And let's see, what's next? State legislation, charter language change, that could go to A and O?
So if I may.
Yep.
So there's an email in the packet. It was forwarded out to everyone when it was received mid-September. One of the charter amendments that was sent to the legislature includes language, gender language. And they are requesting to be able to put gender neutral language in there rather than saying members, this is the specific language, members of men's and women's advocacy groups, change it to relevant, advocacy groups. So the mayor's office has already responded to I think this is from the office of Senator Joe Comerford, that they agree with that change because it's not a substantive change. And my hope was that the committee chairs here could just kind of give a thumbs up to, because it's not changing anything other than, okay? Sheila,
Thumbs up for me.
do you have a thumbs up?
I think that's fine.
Okay, Marion,
Great.
yes, okay. So we'll send an email tomorrow or Thursday, letting them know that council leadership also agrees with the change. Thank you.
Next point is discussion with the mayor regarding removal of benches and chessboard. Vice President Gilmore. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm new to this whole Zoom thing. Yeah, so there were some folks that were really upset by this, and I know the mayor said that she felt like it was a very difficult decision. So I had offered if we wanted to have a space to kind of talk through sort of that decision-making process and talk about, the way forward. I don't know if this is a permanent change or if this was meant to be a temporary response to a particular issue. And I just thought that it would be a good place to dig in and learn more about it, since that's not something where we want to really spend a lot of time at a full city council meeting digging into. So if we want to do that at CRE, I'd be happy to do so. I'm also willing to wait until, if we wanted to wait until after the election, because I know a lot of folks are, especially in this space, are politically engaged and maybe very, very busy for the next several weeks. I would also be willing to just talk about this after we take a breather too. But I will go with the will of the group.
November works fine for me if it's after the election. I don't have that exact date in front of me.
Yeah, so it would be well after the election. But
Yeah,
yeah, the
that sounds
third
fine.
Monday in October is going to be kind of like crunch time for a lot of people who are working on a lot of things.
For the holiday.
So
October 14th is a holiday.
Oh,
City Hall is closed.
okay, yeah, so November would definitely be.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay. Approval of city election warrant, that'll go directly to city council.
It's a long one to whoever reads it. I'm just putting it out there. It's a couple of pages. Yeah.
or I'll do it, okay? I know you're gonna ask me anyway, so I'll just say it right now.
all right, but Mike needs to get a tri-corner hat and a big bell so that he can hear ye.
I have that in my closet, Sheila.
Oh,
Why do I I'm not surprised. Why am I not surprised?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm a bell. Actually, I do have a bell.
Next one is the adoption of the HERO Act. Which, would that be A and O? That's A and O.
I think so.
Yeah. So we'll put that on A and O for this month. Appropriate 150,000.
It's also expected to go to council this month.
Okay,
Is that,
We will meet this,
okay.
that
And-
was, you can go to. you can
A
go
and
to
O for a
A&O.
vote?
Yep,
I don't think it's popular.
yeah, I don't think it is either. I think it's fine.
And then the next one is appropriate 150,000 from stabilization for public safety data center. That go to Ways and Means this month. And also council for a vote. Right? Or no, is that first reading?
So I think it's, right, it's gonna have a first reading in October, second reading in November, and then council vote in November.
So do we put that on this one or wait? This Ways and Means or wait till the November?
Doesn't the first reading happen at full council?
First reading at full council,
Right.
but sometimes it also goes to Ways and Means and you make a recommendation before it gets to the second.
Right, so that would be next. So that'd be November.
So Ways and Means November,
Yeah, I think so.
okay.
Going through the committees, economic development. The only question, I'll be curious to get your feedback I had on it, is the community members and feedback I've got is that people were confused by putting cluster development with other issues. And I don't know if
Yeah.
we can split.
I don't want to do anything but cluster developments this month. And I actually wonder, like, can the planning board not hold their public hearing on ADUs yet? I'm not convinced that that language is complete and I just don't want to get into the situation we're in right now where we have like a deadline looming and, you know, if we do the hearing, then we start the clock. And so I know you only heard from me and Counselor Gordon about the date anyways, or Tammy did.
Tammy did, right.
So I would request that they hold that hearing. And, November 7th? I don't know. That brings us 90 days.
So as soon as the request for zoning amendment is received, it goes to EDC, and so that's when the clock starts.
Okay, so we have to do the hearing
So
within,
November is fine.
okay.
And as far as you mentioned the cluster development,
We have until December 4th. to
right,
Vote on that.
right. So there's a note on here from Tammy that says remove.
Cluster development?
Maybe so that, sorry, my brain is not,
That's okay.
yeah. So I think the intent is, and I probably should stop and not say anything, but I'm gonna say it anyways, and I'm sorry, Tammy. I think the intent is to have all of the public hearing in November. But I can also ask Tammy to slap my hand and tell me what's going on tomorrow,
The public hearing in November was just for ADUs.
okay?
And that would be November 7th, and that would be a joint public hearing
Mm-hmm.
for ADUs. So that would give, but if we do that, then, so we have October 8th, where we would, EDC, I would like to just talk about cluster developments, nothing else. And then that means that our next, why is the joint hearing on Thursday?
Because it's probably.
Yeah, but don't we go back and forth and we did their date last time?
We do go back and forth, but sometimes if there's a conflict with people
Oh,
not
it's
being able
election
to
day.
attend-
The 5th is election day. That's why it's not November 5th.
Is that planning board meeting?
That would be EDC meeting, but it's election day.
I thought EDC meeting would be the fall.
Oh, the 12th, right, sorry. That's the 5th is the first Tuesday.
So perhaps because, and I'll tell you right now, I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Well,
We
surely
should-
me either.
We should, again, I'm being honest. We should have a conversation with Tammy and Eric.
I think what I would rather do based on these dates is I don't want to have a public hearing for this before EDC has a chance to discuss this in a full meeting. And if we have the hearing on the 7th and then we bring it to committee to discuss on the 12th, it's like we've already started that clock. So if we can hold the hearing till December for the ADU, if there's time, I don't know when it was introduced, but if there is time, I would like to hold that hearing until December.
And I don't know if there's time.
If there's not time,
Yeah.
we'll do it when we have to do it.
So how about if we have a conversation with Tammy tomorrow, wrap our heads around dates, zoning amendments, and I'm sure probably Tammy has already sent an email
She
to all of us.
followed up today and said,
Yeah.
like, please everyone respond because only me
Yeah.
and Counselor Gordon respond.
And we will see if we can put out something, concise.
Yeah, if you can let us know when we have to hold the hearing by, that will help. But if we have to do it the 7th, we'll just do it November 7th and we'll discuss it the 12th. I just like it better when we get to discuss it before we
Mhm.
have the hearing. So this month, just cluster developments. We'll do ADUs in November. And then if that's all settled, then we will move on to camper vans,
And,
camper.
were you, so the camper van was proposed,
That's just
Are you-
discussion. There's no,
so you're not supporting it, you're not leading it forward.
no. Not as it is. If there was discussion that evening about coming up with something that was having, like a sanctioned camping zone, like there is in other cities that would be serviced, and have like sanitary stations and things like
So if
that.
it's just discussion, does that need to be on an agenda? Or do you want to meet with Mr. Green and perhaps the building inspector? Or
I
the
think
health
something's gonna
department?
come back to us and we'll have something to discuss in like November or December
So-
about it.
Are we removing this?
We're removing it for now. Yeah, we hold it until we're gonna do one at a time because of the confusion.
I was also wondering, do you think it might be worth inviting members of Conservation Commission to see if any of them could attend? Just about cluster development?
I would
I
love,
forgot to reach out to them, but I
Yeah.
thought it might be, that came up in,
could we
Okay.
ask if someone on conservation wants to come?
To the October meeting?
Yes.
and so we're not planning on voting on cluster development in October?
I think that we don't have to. I think we should probably see how this meeting goes next week on the 8th. And if everyone feels like they have questions answered and amendments made, we should just bring it to council floor. That feels like enough time for there to be public input, and, had already went to council floor and back. So the plan is, it will go to full council. If the meeting goes in another direction, we can reassess and take it off the agenda for this month and have more public input and discussion next week. But
And so after the meeting, will you let us know?
Yes.
Send an email to Tammy?
yes, definitely, and let you know if it's gonna move forward.
Thank you.
And then, appointments and ordinances, we have the HERO Act. Is that it? Community relations will happen in November,
Canceling October.
right? Ways and means will have GSET discussion And we'll hold off on the other appropriation until next month. So it's just GSEP discussion. Draft of city council, I had a question, it's down here further, but
I just wanted to let you know that I won't be here for the committee chairs on November 5th because there's an election.
Yeah, will we be here?
Don't know if you heard about it or not.
We'll be here. I have like a commitment that night.
okay,
You won't be here.
I won't be here. Yeah, I won't be done by then.
Please don't schedule it for the next night.
Yeah.
so how do we go about scheduling that?
So if you want to reschedule the regular committee chair, we just need to pick a date. So November. So November 5th is the first Tuesday. It is election day. So I don't know if you want to look at Thursday, the 7th. That is a planning board meeting, though. That's the public hearing. The following Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day. That Tuesday is EDC. A&O is on the 13th.
Not the fourth. Not that I want to do that to you on the eve of the election, but
So the 4th, I, again, won't be here. We're setting up for the election. So you can certainly have the meeting. I just won't be here.
Without being Catherine, right? You don't need, you don't.
You only need
That's true.
3 people.
Yeah, because I can be here.
So it would just be the 3 of you, which would be fine.
Yeah.
Because you have a
If we're- There's
quorum.
3 of us, let's do that.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
I can easily email you guys the topics.
Yeah, that's.
So
fine.
Mike, you and I are not allowed to get sick.
yeah,
Well, again, if you don't
Not
have a
allowed, you
quorum, then
can't
you just
die.
don't have a meeting. Life has continued on. It has happened before and life has continued on. Yeah. So I did make a note that Councilor Bullock and Golub will not be here for that.
Okay. So moving on to the draft of the
Mhm.
city council,
Yes.
filling the at-large, so we need the motion to suspend rules.
Mm-hmm.
So we can swear a candidate in right away.
Mhm.
The warrant looks good. So I'm guessing I would make a motion on the next one to table that.
So it doesn't need to go on. So you're talking about taking from the table 25003.
Yes,
So it doesn't need to go on in October. It's tabled. It can stay on the table and it can go to November.
let's.
Because we did get an email saying that the committee would need more time.
Yeah,
So we can just remove it and it will stay on the table until we want to bring it back.
that's fantastic.
So, go ahead.
I heard you say it can come back in November and it can come back when we want to take it back.
Mhm.
My preference is to work on creating an established committee and have that happen first, and that may take a couple of months before we consider taking that off the table.
Right, so it would live on the table.
Okay.
It wouldn't,
That's what
my suggestion is we remove it from any future agenda until we're told to put it back on because we're ready to go.
That's great.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
And then we'll wait to hear if we're voting on the cluster development after EDC.
Mhm.
And we'll be voting on the HERO Act adoption. And then this was my question, since the state reps are coming, do we know where that's going to be in the agenda? Like, is that part of communications with and before the motions, or?
Yeah, I was making an assumption that it would be under council invited guest.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great to have that. And I saw the reminder went out to ask for any questions we have for the state reps.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot right now, I don't think. But this is a
I
great
don't know
opportunity.
if we've received any.
We received at least one.
A question?
The state reps.
I'm not remembering.
Huh?
I.
Councilor Garrett did, but I can't remember. It's been a while.
I don't.
Mhm.
That since he submitted it, because I'm not recalling.
That he submitted.
I'll ask
I'll
Tammy.
double check again too.
They would need to be received by the office.
Right, I thought I remember seeing a CC email or something, but
And do they have to be received by Thursday? I got that reminding you a second time, email, and I was like, oh.
Well,
by Thursday.
if we want to give it to the senator so they can create a response.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
the next one, isn't this discussion with issues involving GSET, didn't we cover that in going to
Ways and
Ways
means.
and Means instead of full council? Got a first reading.
Notice of zoning amendments.
So the notice is just, would that notice still go out?
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
it's like a public notice.
Okay.
You're telling the public that we received this. There was also,
Right.
I sent an email today. There was also a zoning amendment proposal submitted by 10 voters, even though they got 104 signatures. Sent out to the council and planning board today about ADUs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that will also be on the zoning amendment proposal. But we didn't have it in time for the posting.
So I think that is it. Let's see. Anything else, unless there's any other discussion points or something anyone wants to add to this?
Again, because I don't know whereabouts this should land, and how necessarily to go about it. We already have kind of rules about, like when we're behind the rail. Public can't come up and talk in our ear.
Mhm.
I don't know if we have to codify this with some sort of rule change, or if it can just be assumed on our policy, that would include electronic communication as well. I know there's been chats, texts received while we're in meetings that I feel is inappropriate for us to be receiving or responding to while we're in our meeting, because that would be just like if the people who are in attendance were coming over and whispering in our ear, but instead they're chiming phones or chats. So it's just something that I thought of it a while ago. I just didn't really ever bring it up or know where that should land or how we should address that. But I think that it's important to make known that.
That's all in, sorry, the training we just did, like ethics, if anything that you communicate during a public meeting is foiable.
I don't know if that's happened. And I mean, I know I've watched it happen throughout the couple of years that I've been here. And I've watched it happen from when I've seen people even in small committees.
Mhm.
Because obviously when we're in meeting, we have our public comment portion. And then there can be information that comes up and people would love to jump in and chime into what they just heard, but it's not there for them.
Mhm.
So then they'll send it to somebody live to try to essentially ask their question via,
Oh, yeah, I get
Somebody who's-
emails from people
Yeah.
during meetings.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
saying, Like, bring
Yeah.
this up, bring that up from
Right.
just citizens.
and I just thought it'd be something to point out that because we don't really,
I don't think it's
that-
allowable though by rules. It's just that any communication during an open meeting is
but they're not allowed to come to the rail.
right. I'd have to redo that. I just did that training. and There was a piece about written communication. I can't remember.
I don't know, just something I thought should be brought up that
I mean, the
I
other
don't see
thing
the
that,
distinction between the two, whether if somebody can't come up and whisper in my ear while we're at full city council meeting, they shouldn't be texting me and me responding to it or looking at what they're saying and then passing that off as if it was a thought.
So again, I think you can ask them not to, but how about also if we don't look at our phones
That's
during the
the
meeting?
simple part. Well, that's what I mean. And, but again,
I mean, I know we have kids.
Yeah, I often
but,
have
you know,
two kids home alone, and during
Yeah.
like this meeting, I have two kids home alone, like if my partner's working late or, and so. And I'm not gonna bring home the
Right.
kids. to
Yeah.
everything.
that's what I mean. That's where the gray area, kind of comes in, is because, again, a lot of us have our laptops
Right.
at the meeting, and it's like, well, cool, you can type, you can take notes, you can look through material while you're there. And then it's like, but if someone's just sitting there chatting to you,
Mhm.
that's, to me, it's no different than if they just pulled up a chair right next to you.
Mhm.
I think it's worth in old business or at the beginning of the meeting, maybe twice, so that people who don't attend one meeting hear the next. Just a reminder, I didn't know when I was a new counselor, and then I found out that there were two Northampton city councilors who, I don't know what happened, but they were, texting during their Zoom meetings. And there was it was a big problem. And then I was like, oh, I can't do this. I mean, I wasn't texting other but I learned a couple months in, and there may be counselors who haven't realized it yet that need to be reminded. So I'm not against
Yeah.
there being
Yeah.
a.
So. If
It's
maybe,
it's in the open meeting laws. There's a section in here specifically. With few exceptions, use of any electronic messaging by public body members to communicate with a quorum of public body members during or outside of a
So it's all
meeting may
about
constitute private deliberation. Open meeting laws, it is discouraged if those electronic communications are not shared. It is not directly prohibited by the open meeting law outside of a quorum of public body members.
right,
So if
May
I
not
may-
be to them, I would suggest we prohibit it. Because I guess
so maybe
that's the-
someone should write something up. Because again, this was not on the agenda,
Right.
so we shouldn't really be discussing it.
Yeah.
If someone writes something up, even if it's just a reminder statement. And then it get discussed in November on committee chairs.
Yep.
Yeah, the open meeting law does not address directly the issue of texting or emailing to communicate with members of the public during the meeting.
They don't, but
It
open
covered-
meeting law doesn't allow us to.
We can't text each other in quorum.
Right.
I mean, I'm
But I
surprised we
mean,
could.
no, I'm saying open meeting law doesn't allow us to talk with members openly of the public.
Well,
It
yeah, I
seems
mean,
weird that
when
they
we're
would
on a
allow
break,
Meeting law doesn't cover public comment.
yeah.
No, not public comment.
So
Or
I
interact.
have to, I just wanted to let folks know, I have to drop off. I have a work-related Zoom call at 7. It sounds like we're wrapping up, but I do have to leave, so I just wanted to say
Sure.
good night to everybody. I'd let you know I'm
Thank you,
leaving.
Sheila. Good night.
Bye.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. Maybe we'll find out some more information and put it on November. And we'll have more information. We can look that up too, or I can
Mhm.
look into that.
Yeah. I mean, I think these things come up. Like, I had a question this month about public, public city employees endorsing candidates for city council under their specific titles on city time from city emails. That's questionable under the ethics
Ethics. yeah.
law. So it's good reminders for people to do ethics training if you haven't.
Endorse any.
Your endorsement will be heard by your vote.
That's right.
Yeah, so I guess that is it. Just review any communications we had on candidates and their resumes and letters. It's again really impressive, and it's gonna be a tough one.
I would just say this feels like one of the hardest, been a lot of hard decisions. So who says what's the hardest, but this feels like one of the hardest decisions.
Yeah,
Don't want to have. to-
but there'll be more seats next year,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Please run.
including precinct 5.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.